By the time my family realized the lawyer had pressed play, my sister's hand was already shaking. My uncle stopped smiling halfway through the first sentence. My stepmother whispered, "Turn it off," like the truth was a fire alarm. And on the screen, my father sat in his old brown chair, wearing the navy sweater I bought him 2 Christmases before he died. Then he looked straight into the camera and said, "If Viola is not in this room, then every person here has already lied." My name is Viola Carter, and the first thing you need to understand is that grief does not make people honest. Sometimes grief just removes the furniture from the room so you can finally see the rats running along the wall. My father, Samuel Carter, was not a flashy man. He did not own yachts, private jets, or vacation homes in places people pretended to pronounce correctly. He owned 3 things that mattered: a house in Atlanta, a small chain of commercial rental properties, and a reputation clean enough that people lowered their voices when they spoke his name. He had built everything slowly, brick by brick, lease by lease, signature by signature. And by the time he got sick, every cousin, aunt, half-sibling, and concerned relative suddenly remembered that Samuel Carter had always been family. Funny thing about money, it improves people's memory. Before my father's diagnosis, most of them barely called. My stepmother, Marlene, lived in the house with him, but even she had grown colder over the years. My older sister, Tasha, called only when she needed a favor, a loan, or a character reference for a man she should have left 3 red flags ago. My uncle Raymond, my father's younger brother, was the kind of man who hugged with one arm and counted your pockets with the other. But me? I was there. Not perfectly, not dramatically, not with music swelling behind me like a movie scene. I was just there. I drove him to appointments at Emory. I organized his medication. I sat in waiting rooms with bad coffee and worse chairs. I learned the difference between words that sounded hopeful and words doctors used when they did not want to break you too quickly. My father never liked being weak. He tried to button his own shirts, even when walking from the bedroom to the kitchen left him breathing like he had climbed Stone Mountain. He still asked about my work, my savings, my car, my life. That was Samuel Carter, dying but still trying to father me. And maybe that is why what they did hurt so badly. Because I was not fighting for money at first. I was fighting for the last clean piece of him. The first warning came 3 weeks before he died. I had stopped by the house after work with soup from his favorite place near Cascade Road. Marlene answered the door wearing a silk robe and that perfume she only used when guests were coming. She did not invite me in. She blocked the doorway with her body like I was selling something. "Your father is resting," she said. "I'll be quiet." He asked not to be disturbed. That sentence sat wrong in my ear. My father had never asked not to see me. Not once. Even on the worst days, when his voice was thin and his eyes were tired, he still reached for my hand. I looked past her shoulder and saw Tasha walking through the hallway with a folder tucked under her arm. When she saw me, she froze. Then she smiled too quickly. "Hey, V," she said. "Daddy's asleep." "What's in the folder?" Tasha laughed. "You always think everything is a case." Marlene tilted her head. "Maybe you should go home and rest. You've done enough." That was the first time someone said those words to me like a warning. You've done enough. Not thank you, not we appreciate you. Enough. I told myself I was tired. I told myself grief makes people strange. I told myself not to turn a hallway moment into a family war. Peace will make a fool out of you when you keep using it to excuse disrespect. 2 days later, my father called me at 1:14 in the morning. I remember the time because I stared at it on my phone while his breathing crackled through the speaker. "Viola," he said. I sat up so fast my blanket fell to the floor. "Daddy." There was a pause, then he said, "If anything feels wrong, trust it." My chest tightened. "What happened? Just promise me." "Daddy, what happened?" His voice dropped lower. "Your mother used to say you could hear a lie before most people saw one." My mother had died when I was 19. He almost never mentioned her at night unless pain medicine had softened the walls around his memory. "Daddy, you're scaring me." "I left something for you," he whispered. He breathed in sharply like the word itself hurt. "Not where they'll look." Then another voice entered the background, Marlene. "Samuel, who are you talking to?" The line went dead. I called back 7 times. No answer. The next morning, Tasha texted me. "Daddy had a rough night. Please don't upset him with calls. Doctor said stress is bad." There it was again. A sentence dressed like concern, but walking like control. I went to the house that afternoon. This time, Raymond's truck was in the driveway. Inside, the living room smelled like lemon cleaner and secrets. My father was in bed, half asleep, his face thinner than it had been 3 days before. I sat beside him and took his hand. His fingers closed around mine weakly, but deliberately. Marlene stood by the dresser. Tasha leaned near the window. Raymond stood at the foot of the bed like he owned the silence. "Daddy," I said softly, "did you call me last night?" His eyes opened. For 1 second, he looked fully awake. Then Marlene stepped forward. "He's confused, Viola." My father's hand tightened. Not much. Just enough. That tiny squeeze told me more than every word in that room. Raymond cleared his throat. "We all need to start thinking practically." "About what?" I asked. He said. My father's eyes shifted toward him. Tasha looked down. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "He's still alive, Uncle Raymond." Raymond blinked like I had slapped him. "I'm saying we need order." "No," I said. "You're saying it too early." Marlene's face hardened. "This attitude is exactly why your father worried about you. That was the first time they tried to rewrite me in front of him. Not grieving, not protective. Difficult. Emotional, unstable. The words people use when they want your reaction to become the crime scene instead of their behavior." I looked at my father. His mouth moved barely. I leaned closer. He whispered one word, "Office." Marlene stepped in quickly. "He needs to rest," but I heard him. Office. My father's home office was locked when I tried the door. It had never been locked before. 3 days later, he died. There are sounds grief makes that nobody prepares you for. The phone ringing before sunrise, the breath you take before answering. The silence after someone says, "He's gone." I did not scream. I did not collapse. I sat on the edge of my bed with the phone in my hand and stared at the wall until the sunlight changed color. Then I got dressed. Black pants, white blouse, flat shoes. Because even grief has errands. When I arrived at the house, cars already lined the street. People were in the kitchen, eating food my father would never taste again. Marlene sat on the couch accepting hugs like a queen receiving diplomats. Tasha cried loudly enough for everyone to hear. Raymond kept touching men on the shoulder and saying, "Samuel wanted us to stay strong." As that word was doing a lot of theft. When I walked in, the room changed. Not stopped, changed. Conversations lowered. Eyes moved. Tasha came toward me with open arms. I let her hug me. Her body shook, but her hands were dry. "I'm so sorry, Vi," she whispered. I whispered back, "When is the will reading?" Her arms stiffened. That was my answer before she spoke. "Marlene is handling that." I pulled back. "Why?" "She's his wife. I'm his daughter." Tasha looked around as if the walls might save her. "Can we not do this today?" That sentence is the oldest weapon in family betrayal. Can we not do this today? As if betrayal waits for a better date. As if people do not do the damage first, then ask you to respect the mood. The funeral happened 4 days later. My father's church was full. Men cried into folded programs. Women sang through tears. The pastor spoke about legacy. Marlene sat in the front row with a black veil and perfect posture. Raymond gave a speech about brotherhood that would have sounded beautiful if I did not know he owed my father $72,000. I sat quietly, and when they lowered my father into the ground, I felt something in me lower with him. Not hope, not love. Something softer. The part of me that still believed family meant safety. After the burial, I asked Marlene again, "When is the will reading?" Her mouth tightened. "Samuel changed some things near the end." "What things?" "He wanted peace." "That is not an answer." Raymond stepped between us. "Viola, your father knew how emotional you can be." There it was. The label. Emotional. A convenient little box where guilty people put you when they are scared of your memory. I looked at him and said, "You should be careful using my father's name to say things he never said." Raymond smiled, but his eyes did not. A week passed. No call from the lawyer. No email, no update. Then my cousin Brianna called me from a grocery store parking lot. Her voice was low. "Why don't say I told you?" My hand tightened around the phone. "What?" "The will reading is tomorrow morning." The world went quiet. "What do you mean tomorrow?" "At Whitcomb and Reed, 10 o'clock downtown." I stood in my kitchen staring at the refrigerator. "I wasn't invited," Brianna exhaled. "They said you already knew but weren't coming because you were contesting everything." I laughed once. Not because it was funny, because sometimes a lie is so bold it walks into the room wearing your shoes. "They said I wasn't coming." "Yes. Who said that?" A pause. "Tasha." "Marlene, I expected." "Raymond, I expected." But Tasha had shared a room with me when we were girls. She knew how my father used to leave notes in our lunch bags. She knew what his hands looked like after fixing the porch himself because he refused to hire someone for something he could learn, and she still helped them erase me. That night, I did not sleep. I went through everything: texts, old voicemails, photos, notes from appointments, receipts from prescriptions. Then I remembered the word office. At 6:12 the next morning, I drove to my father's house. Marlene's car was gone, so was Raymond's truck. The will reading was at 10. They had left early to prepare for the robbery politely. I used the spare key my father had given me years ago and entered through the side door. The house was too clean. That was the first thing I noticed. My father had been many things, but tidy was not one of them. His books leaned. His papers wandered. His coffee mugs appeared in rooms coffee had no business visiting. Now everything looked staged. But my father had been a landlord for 30 years. He believed in spare keys the way some people believed in insurance. Behind the framed photo of my mother in the hallway was a tiny brass key taped to the backing. I found it because I had watched him hide it there when I was 16. "Never trust a lock without a second answer," he had told me. That morning, my hands shook as I peeled the tape back. The key turned. The office smelled like dust, old leather, and him. For a second, I almost broke. His glasses were still beside the keyboard. His favorite pen sat uncapped near a yellow legal pad. On the wall was a photo of me at my college graduation, smiling with one arm around him. Someone had turned it face down. That told me everything. I started searching. Desk drawers, file cabinets, bookshelves, nothing. Then I saw the old digital clock on his shelf. It had been unplugged. My father hated unplugged clocks. He said dead clocks made a room feel defeated. I picked it up, too heavy. I turned it over and found a strip of black tape covering the battery compartment. Inside was a flash drive, small, silver, no label. My heart began to beat in my throat. I plugged it into his computer. There was one file, for Viola only. I clicked it. The video opened. My father appeared on screen, sitting in his brown chair, wearing the navy sweater. He looked tired, but his eyes were clear. "Viola," he said, "if you are seeing this, then I was right not to trust the room around me." My hands went cold, he continued. "I have recorded this because I believe Marlene, Raymond, and possibly Tasha are attempting to alter, hide, or pressure changes regarding my estate. I want my intentions made plain." I covered my mouth. Not because I was surprised, because hearing your suspicion confirmed by a dying man is not victory. It is a second funeral. He said he had met privately with his attorney 2 months before his death. He said the valid will left the Atlanta house to me, a smaller cash portion to Tasha, a lifetime living allowance for Marlene under strict conditions, and no controlling interest to Raymond. Then he said something that made my knees weaken. If Marlene presents any document dated after the 4th of March giving her full control, I signed it under medical confusion and pressure. I revoked it in writing with Attorney Reed present on the 12th of March. The 12th of March, I remembered that day. Marlene had told me he was too sick for visitors. My father looked directly into the camera. "Viola has been my primary caregiver. Anyone claiming she abandoned me is lying." I paused the video and cried then. Not loudly, just enough for the room to know I was still human. Then I copied the file onto my laptop, onto my phone, onto cloud storage, and once to a new flash drive I found in his drawer. Because my father did not raise me to bring one receipt to a room full of thieves, he raised me to bring copies. At 9:47, I walked into Whitcomb and Reed. The receptionist looked startled when I gave my name. That told me they had expected the lie to work. Attorney Marcus Reed came out personally. He was a tall man with silver hair and the exhausted face of someone who had seen too many families discover math after death. "Miss Carter," he said carefully, "were you told I was not coming?" His expression shifted. "Your sister indicated you had declined attendance." I did not. His jaw tightened. "Please come with me." The conference room had a long mahogany table and a wall of windows overlooking downtown Atlanta. Marlene sat near the head of the table in cream, colored mourning clothes, because apparently even grief needed a costume change. Tasha sat beside her, scrolling on her phone. Raymond leaned back in his chair like a man waiting to inherit oxygen. 2 cousins were there, a financial advisor, a paralegal, and 3 empty chairs. None of them had my name on a printed place card. Face down, I picked it up, turned it over, and sat. The room froze. Tasha's mouth opened, Marlene's eyes narrowed. Raymond recovered first. "Well," he said, smiling, "look who decided to come." I placed my purse on the table. I was invited by blood, apparently not by email. Tasha whispered, "Viv, please don't start." I looked at her. "You already did." Attorney Reed cleared his throat. "We are here to review the final estate documents of Samuel James Carter." Marlene raised a hand. "I think it is important to state that Samuel had concerns about Viola's behavior near the end." There it was. The narrative, right on schedule. Raymond leaned forward. "She was aggressive, suspicious. She upset him." "Tasha would not look at me," Marlene continued. "Samuel wanted stability. He made changes accordingly." Attorney Reed's face gave nothing away. "What changes are you referring to, Mrs. Carter?" Marlene opened a leather folder and removed a document. "This is the updated will." The paper slid across the table. Attorney Reed picked it up. His eyes moved down the page. Then he stopped, just slightly. But I saw it. "This document is dated the 9th of March, he said. Marlene nodded. "Yes, interesting." Raymond frowned. "Why interesting?" Attorney Reed placed the document down. "Because Mr. Carter came to this office on the 12th of March. The room shifted. Marlene's face remained still, but the skin around her mouth tightened. Tasha finally looked up. Attorney Reed continued. "He signed a revocation statement regarding documents executed during a period of medical distress. He also reaffirmed his prior estate plan." Raymond sat forward. "That's not possible." Attorney Reed looked at him. "It is not only possible, it is documented." Marlene's voice sharpened. Samuel was confused by then. I almost laughed. People always call the dead confused when the dead disagree with them. Attorney Reed said he was evaluated as lucid at the time. Raymond's hand hit the table. "This is ridiculous. Viola has been manipulating this whole situation." There it was. When the lie starts bleeding, the liar points at the nearest clean person. Marlene turned toward me. "You poisoned him against us." I did not answer. Tasha said softly, "V, maybe you should just let Mr. Reed explain." I looked at my sister. "You told them I wasn't coming." Her face crumpled. "I was trying to avoid drama." "No," I said. "You were trying to avoid witnesses." The room went silent. Attorney Reed adjusted his glasses. "Miss Carter, is there something you would like to add?" I reached into my purse. Marlene's eyes followed my hand. Raymond's smile disappeared. I placed the flash drive on the table. My father left one video. Marlene stood. Number 1 word, too fast. Too scared. Attorney Reed looked at her, then at the drive. "Mrs. Carter," she swallowed. "This is inappropriate," I said. So was holding a will reading without his daughter. Raymond pointed at me. "We don't know what's on that." I smiled. "Then let's meet it together." Attorney Reed looked at the paralegal. Please connect it. A large screen at the end of the room lit up for a moment. My father's face filled the wall. Everything stopped. Tasha covered her mouth. Marlene gripped the back of her chair. Raymond looked at the door like it owed him an exit. Then my father began to speak. If Viola is not in this room, then every person here has already lied. No one moved. The video did not shout. It did not perform. It simply laid one sentence after another on the table until the room could no longer breathe around them. My father named the pressure. He named the 9th of March document. He named the 12th of March revocation. He named the attorney. He named the house. He named the rental properties. He named me. And then came the part none of us expected. He said on screen, "I love you, but love does not mean I trust you with what you have not learned to respect. I have helped you many times. I will help you one final time in this will. But I will not let your desperation become Viola's punishment." Tasha broke, not movie crying. Real crying, the ugly kind that bends your shoulders. Sadder. "Marlene, you were my wife, but in my illness you treated access to me like property. That is not love. That is management." Marlene's lips parted. No sound came out. Finally, my father said, "Raymond, I forgave the debt. I did not forget the pattern." Raymond's face went gray. The video ended with my father leaning closer to the camera. "Viola, if they made you feel alone, forgive me. I should have protected you from needing proof. But since I could not, I left you some." The screen went black. Nobody spoke. That is the thing about receipts. They do not need volume. They have weight. Attorney Reed removed the flash drive carefully, as if it had become evidence in something larger than probate. "Based on this recording and the existing documents in our office," he said, "that the 9th of March will is not controlling." Marlene sat down slowly. Raymond stood. "I want my attorney." "That is your right." Tasha whispered my name. I did not look at her yet. Because forgiveness offered too quickly becomes permission. Over the next 3 weeks, everything unfolded exactly the way truth unfolds when people have been lying too long. Slowly. Then all at once, the 9th of March document was challenged. The witnesses listed on it became very hard to reach. One admitted he had signed without seeing my father sign. The notary's stamp had a date discrepancy. My father's medical records supported periods of confusion around the same time. Attorney Reed's the 12th of March notes confirmed my father's revocation. The video did not stand alone. It stood with paperwork. And paperwork, unlike people, does not panic when questioned. Marlene moved out of the house after her attorney advised her that pushing further could expose more than she wanted discussed. Raymond stopped calling everyone family and started calling everyone biased. Tasha sent me a message that said, "I'm sorry. I was scared." I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, "I was grieving." "You still chose the people who were stealing." She did not respond. The house came to me, not because I wanted walls, because my father wanted memory protected by someone who knew what it cost. The rental properties were placed into the structure he had already planned. Marlene received what he had legally left her, no more and no less. Tasha received her portion, but not control. Raymond received forgiveness of the debt, which was more grace than he deserved. On the first Sunday after everything settled, I went back to my father's house alone. The air was still. The office door was open. I turned the photo of my graduation upright again. Then I sat in his chair. For the first time since he died, I let myself feel the full weight of missing him. Not the estate. Not the fight. Him, his laugh, his stubbornness, his terrible coffee, the way he used to say, "Viola, don't raise your voice when the facts can raise the room." I looked at the unplugged clock on the shelf. Then I plugged it back in. The numbers blinked. 12 o'clock. A reset, not an ending. A reset. People think revenge is always loud. They imagine screaming. Broken plates, dramatic exits, and final speeches delivered with thunder in the background. But sometimes revenge is a daughter walking into a room she was erased from and letting her father speak. Sometimes revenge is one flash drive, one file, one chair pulled back at a table where your name was turned face down. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not defend yourself against every lie. Sometimes you simply wait until the truth arrives with a play button. They held the will reading without Viola. But my father left one video they never found. And by the time they understood what he had done, the inheritance was no longer the money. It was the lesson. They thought grief would make me too weak to notice. But grief sharpened everything. And my father's final gift was not the house. It was proof that even from the grave, a good man can still lock the door behind a thief.